Hey, what's up, everybody? It's the Pro Solo Flipper here. Check me out on Instagram. I got the same account name, Pro Solo Flipper. I post there, a couple times a day, 2 or 3 times a day. It's easy to contact me through Instagram if you want to message me and ask me anything. I'm pretty good about responding to all reseller-related questions. Or comment on this video. I'm very good about answering those or responding to those comments too. So today this video is going to be an important video, I think, for all those of you who are considering going full-time with reselling, or who may have already just made the leap to full-time. Maybe a warning to you about what to expect. And it has to do with the belief of what I thought I could do about growing once I made the leap from part-time to full-time, and kind of the reality of what's happened. I've been full-time 6 months now, and this is what I'm seeing. So fortunately for me, I didn't quit my job too soon. I was working a bank management job, making good money. I was doing reselling on the side, and I had built it up to quite the level that I was almost making as much reselling as I was at my bank management job, and I was making enough that if I was just reselling, that we would be fine financially, my wife and I. In that time that I was growing and doing this part-time while working full-time, I was taking the extra money and paying down a lot of our debt, so that we don't have much debt. We have, if you've watched my other videos, you've heard me say before, we have our house payment, and we have one car payment. We have 3 cars, so we don't need that car. If things really got tight, we could sell that car. I owe less than it's worth, and I would hate to see it go because it's my fun car, but the truth is we could let it go and just have a car payment, and that's our only debt. I should say was our only debt. So that's another story to say. Maybe I'll just mention it now. So my wife and I both are contract employees, are considered contract. We don't have taxes taken out of our checks. I don't get a paycheck, right, from an employer. My wife is a PTA, and she's a contract employee too, so she doesn't have any taxes taken out. So we got hit hard when we had our taxes done this year. We didn't estimate very well, or for what our quarterly tax payments should have been based on what we thought we would make. We based it on what we had actually made the year before, and because of that, we had a pretty big surprise when it came time to do our taxes. But I don't want to get off tangent too much, but I'll say because of that, we had to pay thousands in taxes this year that we weren't expecting to, and I would say about half of that went on a credit card. So we're in the process of having to pay that down, and we also have much bigger quarterly payments that we have to pay now. So anyway, that aside, I just thought I would disclose that for anybody else. I guess that's relevant to anybody else who's thinking about going full-time. Be aware that you had better be estimating what you're going to make for the year. I mean, paying appropriate quarterly taxes or saving that money so that you don't get hit with a surprise come tax time. So, but back to my original point for this video is, so I was at a level I needed to be at before I quit my job, thankfully. So, but what I thought was going to happen was that once I went full time, I thought I would be able to double. I thought within a year's time I would be able to double what I was doing. That's not going to happen. Frankly, that's not going to happen. I realize that now. I was at about 1,000 listings when I would say right before I quit. It dropped a little bit right before I quit, but and so I thought I was giving myself 1 year to get to 2,000 listings. What I didn't realize was, well, there's a few reasons why that's not happening. I'll say this. So I was probably working 30 hours a week. And that 30 hours a week was actual working, like doing stuff. So it wasn't like I was working an 8-hour day and some of that time during the day I would be doing other stuff. But when I was actually working my reselling, I was actively working it and not being distracted by other stuff. So I was hustling hard to build this up so that I could quit my job. So I thought I'd be able to double what I was doing within a year. That's not happening at all. I'm having a hard time growing at all. So my listings had dropped to about 800 after fourth quarter. At that time I had pulled out about 200 200, maybe 250 old listings that just were stale inventory that wasn't selling, that I dropped the price on a ton. So my listings had dropped almost down to 800. And I'm just now barely back up over 1,000. So I've been working hard, and I think going forward, I've got some things figured out where I'm going to grow some more. But here's what happened when I went full time. For the last year and a half, 2 years of when I had a full-time job and I was doing this part-time, I was working almost every evening for 4 or 5 hours. And on the weekend, I would work probably 10, 20 hours. I was putting in a lot of work in the evenings and weekends when my family was there. My wife was very supportive and surprisingly didn't complain about me doing all that, spending so much time doing it, although she did admit to it later that it bothered her some. So one of the things that happened was when I went full time was I decided I didn't really want to be working on the weekends, on the weeknights, the evenings, and on the weekends. So I kind of pulled back from that, and then, so that leaves me with what a regular, I would say 40 or 45 hour week or whatever, at home to do all my reselling stuff. The only thing I was really doing would be at night. In the evening, I would package up my stuff that had sold during the day so that I didn't have to do that in the morning. But here's what else also happens when you're full-time. All of a sudden, you have an extremely flexible schedule that you set yourself, and you can do whatever you want. And so if you're not really disciplined with your time, and you can carefully lose a lot of time doing other things. So what you really need to do is if you're gone full time already, is really audit your time and see exactly what you're spending your time on and how much you're actually spending on reselling. If you're thinking about going full time, you need to take into consideration that any and all distractions during the time when you are supposed to be working is going to be taken away from your productivity. So when I went full time, my youngest daughter, my stepdaughter, we decided she didn't need to go daycare anymore because now I was available to pick her up from school, which is great. I mean, that saved us a few $100s a month, so she didn't have to go after school. But it meant that I have to go pick her up after school. Doesn't take a lot of time, doesn't at all. The school is only 5 minutes from my house. I typically wait 5 minutes for her when I'm there and 5 minutes back. So maybe it takes 15 or 20 minutes of my day every day. But it's one of many things that I do during the day that cuts into my productivity a little bit, right? So that's one thing. That one obviously makes sense because it's saving us money, and it just makes sense, right? But there's lots of other things I've done that don't make as much sense. And combined with the fact that I told myself I didn't want to work weeknights or weekends, I think that it's okay if you want to have the flexible schedule and do certain things during the day. That's fine, but you probably need to make up that time later. Work a few nights on a weeknight, or work a few hours on a weeknight, or work a day on the weekend for a few hours. And going forward, that's what I'm going to be doing a little bit. I'm no longer going to be strict about saying no, I'm not going to work weeknights or I'm not going to work the weekends. I am going to try to do a little bit of listing 1 or 2 nights a week during the week, and then try to find some small block of time during the weekend to get some more listings up. So, because what I was finding is, I would list pretty good during the week, not as good as I could, and then I wouldn't list anything over the weekend, and maybe I would sell 30 or 40 things, and all of a sudden I come back Monday, my listings have dropped by 30 or 40, and then I've spent the next couple of days getting back to the level that I was at Friday. And then if I didn't listen again, I wasn't growing, basically. I was having a hard time growing. So here's some of the things that you might not think about, but you might spend the time during the day doing that is going to cut into your things. So I have played tennis matches. Well, maybe 1 or 2, I can't remember, but maybe 2. Tennis matches, which is great. It's nice to have that flexibility to be able to do fun stuff during the day, but it needs to be made up for somewhere else. Maybe you'll decide, I cut my own hair, so maybe you'll decide to cut your hair or cut your fingernails, or, I'm going to shower now before everybody gets home. All these little things are going to cut into your time and into your productivity of getting stuff done. What else have I done? Maybe you'll decide to go for a hike. I've done that a couple times, or even just have your exercise routine in the middle of the day instead of where you would normally do it before work or after work. You're doing it during the day because it's convenient. There's a lot of stuff that's convenient to do when no one else is around, and you're free to do whatever you want. But you have to be aware that that is really going to cut into your time reselling. So, like I said, it's fine if you want to do that, but you got to make up for it somewhere else. So that being said, I really had goals. I had really set goals for that were a little bit unrealistic for me for what I've been doing for the past 6 months. I think they're even unrealistic for what I'm going to be doing going forward for the next 6 months. But I think just being aware of where the problem is of me not growing, I think that's going to help going forward. I think I will grow now because I'll be more aware of what I'm spending my time during the day, and I'll be willing to put in a little extra time after hours or on the weekend to help grow. So, and by that I mean list, basically, right? Because, you know, I still go to garage sales on the weekend. That's working, I guess, but, you know, it doesn't really feel like working. So the point is, if you're going to go full time, have some realistic expectations about what it's going to be like to go full time. I've never really heard other resellers talk about that, and it really wasn't something I had thought about when I was making that jump. You know, I pay my bills during the day. I mean, there's just so many little things that you do. You know, maybe you'll do a little yard work, or maybe maybe there's some project at home you want to get done, or I mean, the list is limitless, right? I mean, about the little things that could take away from your time. So I think basically you just need to be aware of, should I be doing this now when I'm supposed to be working, or could it wait till after work, or could I get up earlier to do it? And also be willing and realistic about, you know, if you want to be flexible with your time so that you can do some of these things during the day, then you need to make up that time, you know, after hours. So on the weeknights, in the evenings, or on the weekend. And I should say that this is all dependent on what your goals are financially, or what, you know, how much you want to grow. Maybe some people will get to the level they want to be at, and they're not concerned with growing anymore. Luckily, I was at the level I was at that I didn't actually need to make any more money to pay our bills or to be okay. But I'm not where I want to be. I got used to having a lot of money when I was working a full-time job and doing reselling almost full-time too. So it's very nice to be able to send a couple of $1,000s a month extra to bills. I don't expect to get back to that necessarily, but I would like to be able to pay a little extra on my car, pay it down faster, have a nice padding in savings in case an opportunity comes up, or in case an emergency comes up. So I'm just going to wrap this video up. Some of my videos have been getting longer, but that's basically what I want people to be aware of before they make this decision, or while they're making the decision of whether or not they want to resell full-time, whether it be on eBay or Amazon or Poshmark or Mercari or wherever. Just be aware that you may not be able to scale like you thought, especially if you're limiting yourself on when you can work, and also if you're being distracted by all those other things, you know, because your time is yours and you can spend it however you want, but you got to make sure you're still putting in the time to be where you're at and to hit those goals that you want. So that's all I got. Like, comment, I'll reply to your comments, subscribe, share, whatever you want to do. Again, check me out on Instagram. I post there a lot more than I do on YouTube. Pro Solo Flipper on Instagram as well. So that's all I got. Thanks, guys. Get out there and hustle.